Okay, today's subject is actually going to be a little bit of a doozy. I'm going to go over how quests work in this game, as well as the concept of hunting in general. Hunting is actually kind of the thing that keeps people playing this game. One of those things where they actually seek out more than just beating it on normal, or even trying to complete it on ultimate. This is kind of the Skinner box that actually keeps them going and going, and waiting for that reward from all their hard work. So yeah, this is going to be talking a little bit more endgamey than usual, but let's go ahead and get started. Quests in Phantasy Star Online are not like the type of quest you'd expect to take in, a more modern online RPG. But this thing, it's actually a little bit different. They're their own unique stage layouts just for that one quest. To accept them, all you do is just go ahead and talk to the counter lady here in the Hunters Guild, and you'll get your list of quests. Which quests are available will depend on whether or not you're playing single-player mode or multiplayer mode, which version of the game you're playing, and what server you're playing on, since, as you saw there, certain servers have their own unique, homemade quests. Some of the quests have themes to them as well, such as the Endless Nightmare quests tend to feature a room at the very end of it that just is absolutely filled to the brim with enemies, on top of often giving you a unique camera angle, for example. Enemy counts in general tend to be a lot higher during these quests, so it's one of those things where if you're just trying to hunt for a bunch of things off the enemies in a particular level, then it can actually work out pretty good. Honestly, the enemy counts is one of the biggest things about quests. It's because the number of enemies, the spawns of the enemies, they're always the same. There's actually no randomization for a quest, so that actually makes it super useful for hunting, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Now, a lot of the online quests, they are made with multiple people in mind, so if you try to do it by yourself, you might get creamed if you're not careful. Certain character types are definitely a lot better at handling these types of things solo than other types. Such as droids are actually pretty good at it because they tend to have higher than average stats and have traps that they can absolutely abuse for really nasty spawns. Quests are good for more than just item farming, though. There's a lot of quests that'll actually be extremely good for gaining XP when you need it. It just depends on how powerful you currently are and how well you can manage the quest. It's pretty much always faster to level through playing quests than just through playing the stage themselves. But sometimes it's nice just to run through the entire stage, since not every quest is going to end in a boss. So if you actually want to fight that boss, there's only certain quests available that will do it, and sometimes they can be a very long, tedious process. This type of quest is a lot more common in Blue Burst, but some quests even actually give you a reward for them too. Now, usually this will have a cost associated with it, such as the quest being displayed right now is called the Dangerous Deal with Black Paper. With this one, you had to exchange a photon crystal for a chance of winning a few extra prizes. So it's one of those things, farm a different item, get different ones that you can receive as well. There's also different shop-related quests, such as Gallon's Shop is the big one available in Episode 2, and in that one you exchange photon drops, so if you've ever actually gotten one of those photon drops and you're wondering just what you're supposed to be using it for, then that's the big one there, is you actually use them to purchase things that can actually do stuff, such as raising the statistics of one of your weapons. So they're all super useful in their own way, but it can take some time. Heck, with some of these quests, there's a risk of getting nothing at all for the item that you fork over. Such as, during Dangerous Deal with Black Paper, if you die at any point, then there you go, your photon crystal is gone, you're not getting it back. There's also the possibility of getting completely ripped off and getting nothing of the set as a prize, but at least it's something. And it had to be something to cause duds, but it is kind of annoying when that happens. Either way, if you manage to successfully beat whatever crowd of enemies you've chosen to go after, you'll be rewarded with a number of prizes matching your difficulties. So basically, normal gets you 1 prize, hard 2, very hard 3, ultimate 4. There's quite the number of quests on this game overall. Between episodes 1, 2, and 4, and the different modes of the game, there's actually quite the number available. Now that's the thing, I can't really go over them all in one video or this would take on absolute eternity. But if there's interest for it, I could go ahead and record runs of some of the more popular quests as well, just so you guys can kind of see the reason why they're popular to begin with. I can post those between the regular combat videos, just when I've run out of subjects to talk about here in the more tutorialized ones. So let me know in the comments and whatnot. I would be mostly focusing on the popular quests, such as the ever EXP grinding quest that is Towards the Future, as probably one of the maximum attack 4 quests since those are super popular too, Stuff like that. And probably Gallon's shop just so you can see what it's like. All the sorts of those little things where you can get a feel for what quests are the most frequent, and you can understand why they're frequent in the first place. Might even go over some of the custom quests that are available because, well, some of them are actually pretty good and demand a little bit of sight. Then there's the ones that are really bad, which I could do just for the comedic value of it all. Either way, it's up to you guys. Let me know. Now, as I was going over, there's different modes of quests available as well. In Blue Burst, they actually added the government quests. So here in the principal's office, as well as in the lab on episode 2, you'll find a new NPC that's actually able to give you some more quests that weren't available in the GameCube version of the game or anything earlier. These quests are unique, and as a result have different enemy layouts, and some of them are actually more useful for hunting as well. Now the big thing is you do have to progress along these as if you were progressing through the story, so unlocking the quests you want can be really tedious. Some servers do have them available by default though, so they're a nice little new addition. Now any server that follows the progression that regular Blue Burst did, you actually have to do these government quests to unlock further single-player quests available in the one-person mode. These single-player quests are the ones that were available in the GameCube version of the game, so anything under the main story category are going to be these exact same ones. So for those of you that are kind of stuck on the GameCube right now, these may be the only quests that you actually have available. Do note the government quests are available through the multiplayer version of the game, so the enemy stats are going to be raised up to their normal. Now bringing up previous versions of the game brings up something important. If you don't have access to online on your respective consoles, such as not having a broadband adapter for the GameCube for example, these are all the quests you're going to get as just these single-player ones. Now, if you do somehow get an adapter for your GameCube at this point, or maybe you're emulating it by any chance, it is possible to get the quests available for play offline. The GameCube version of the game had a download quest feature that I have made use of myself, where you can pick up at least the official quests that Sega made themselves. Now, the methods for it are kind of unorthodox and usually require setting up your own little mini-server to download them off of in the first place, but it can be super helpful just to have those available if you don't want to play Blue Burst and just want to reminisce over one of the older versions of the game. Honestly, the big reason for trying to download these quests is just that the selection of single-player only quests is pretty terrible. When it comes to trying to get EXP or certain items, there's just so many better quests from online that you'll really want to have access to them even when servers are no longer available. I'm not going to get into the specifics of how to set up your own little mini-server for downloading quests because it's really technical and muddy and confusing, but just know the option is out there, so if you're feeling, up to it and have the hardware handy, then go ahead and give it a shot, see if you can get yourself some goods. Now, do know they actually take up a considerable amount of memory card space, so you might want to have a free one handy. Especially since, you can read custom quests from the second slot in particular, so just have a spare card available just for the quests. Now that you have a feeling for what quests actually are, it's time to talk about hunting. Now, what exactly is hunting, you say? You see, hunting in Phantasy Star Online is the quest for these. The Red Box, the Rare, the Bringer of Hope, the Destroyer of Dreams, the Causer of Fights, the one thing you always want! Seriously though, everything that's good in this game comes in these freaking little red boxes. And when you see these drop from enemies, especially on the higher difficulties, you're just like, ooh, what is it, 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 what is it? It's especially prevalent because when you go hunting, you're searching for a particular enemy's rare drop. Because every single enemy has its own specific rare drop. And how will you know exactly what each enemy drops? Well, unless you want to drive yourself insane through experimentation, then you use a drop chart. Drop tables are basically an exhaustive list of what every single enemy drops for every single ID on every single difficulty. Not only that, but most drop tables will also include the drop chance of it. And you'll notice most of them are pretty low. Like, we're talking like 0.3% or something for a lot of them. So yeah, if you want to actually get a particular rare, you're going to have to grind it out for a while. But that's the thing, it at least gives you something to do. And in a lot of cases, you have a lot of different things you want to be hunting, so it's kind of like switching back and forth between which characters you want to be using, going hunting for that day, which quests you feel like doing. Since you're just looking for a particular enemy type, you don't always have to choose the most efficient quest. Pretty much it just gives you a few ideas of what you want to be going after at the time. Drop tables are also super helpful for deciding on a section ID you want to make your next character. Big thing there is kind of focus more on the very hard and ultimate mode drops, since those are going to be the most important ones. But kind of look at the different section IDs, think about what type of gear you're looking for with your most frequent characters, and just try to pick a section ID based around those. A lot of people will have a lot of different section IDs available to them with their own characters, because let's face it, the game's not very big anymore. Before, it was a lot more feasible to have friends that cover all the section ID gaps for you, that'd be willing to play the game enough to help you hunt with their ID. But nowadays, it's mostly going solo unless you got a group of friends to play with. So hey, if you have other people that'd be interested in it, get them to help you and fill out those section IDs! It helps so much! The section ID system is still terrible, but you gotta live with it if you're gonna play this old game. Now then, let's take a practical example of how this works. Say, for example, you've heard really good things about, say, a chainsaw or a red sword. These are both rare sword weapons that are really good for hunters, the chainsaw especially being nice for droids, since it has a special attack that heals a lot of HP. So in this case, what you do is just go ahead and search along the drop table through your preferred method to find the various things that drop it. And one example I have is right here for you. According to the drop table, you can get chainsaws from evil sharks and red swords from pal sharks over in the caves in episode 1. What's not shown just slightly upwards is that this is from the Skyly section ID on Ultimate. So what you need to do is figure out quests that have a lot of these two type of enemies on Ultimate difficulty, and make sure you have a Skyly character who can host the room, or if you have one yourself, you can just play with them. And that way you can attempt to get these different drops from these two enemies. So a good example of a quest that you could do that has tons of both is Endless Nightmare 2. This quest ends up being the ideal choice for these two types of enemies, since it has the highest concentration of the two put together. Now there's probably better choices for if you just want to have one or the other, but that's the thing, is that you can either be efficient and hunt for two things at once, or you can just go gung-ho for one item in particular. Sometimes it's better just to do a portion of the quest in order to hunt things the most efficiently. For example, if you're just going after evil sharks, or in the case of Ultimate, Falmers, it's actually better to just do the Caves 1 portion of Endless Nightmare 2, because there's tons of them in Caves 1, but not really all that many in Caves 2, since the Go-Falmers, or Pal Sharks, tend to take their place. But if you're just going after Pal Sharks, it's a better idea to just go to Maximum Attack 4, either B or C, and just do the Caves portion. So it's one of those things, hunting can take a little bit of finesse just to learn what the best option is, and it's entirely up to you whether or not you want to go super gung-ho power gaming efficient, or if you'd rather just play the game and hope it drops over time. It's one of those things, for the sake of your sanity, I would recommend going after ones that actually have a good number of the enemies that you're looking for, but you don't have to necessarily unquest early or anything like that. It's whatever's most fun for you. Ultimately, the majority of your time in Very Hard and Ultimate is going to be spent hunting for rares. Now, this is whether you're hunting for rares for yourself or with friends, but that's kind of the key goal. This is more of a quest for just trying to get all the cool stuff you want to use and make your character as super powerful as possible, while you're not just trying to be a badass and solo things, which could require upgrades. So, it's just one of those things, you'll be spending a lot of time doing this one way or another, if you want to try to go for super endgamey action times. Phantasy Star Online may not have the most areas to work with, but at least if you enjoy playing the game in its base, then you can just have some fun just hunting for that different rare equipment that you want, and see what sort of thing that it does. Some of the rares actually do fairly unique things in this game that's a little bit non-standard. Nothing super crazy, but stuff that you can have some fun with as well. It's one of those things where hunting is kind of the majority of the game, and if you really like to see those ever-elusive red boxes, just keep at it. You'll end up finding them eventually. No matter how ridiculous the drop rate is, it's gonna happen eventually. Which brings up one more little thing I want to mention. Okay, so there's this item. It's called Photon Drop. It can drop from anything in the game, and it comes in a red box. Parse that for a minute. Think about it. Are you thinking about it? Better be thinking about it, cause it's the most annoying thing this game will do to you. I mean, holy crap! Nothing like, you know, just grinding out trying to get that red drop again and again and again, only to have the red box be a photon drop when it finally drops from the enemy you're looking for. This is the type of furious thing that can cause people to rage quit the game entirely some days. So, don't worry. Getting photon dropped happens. You really hope for it to not be that way, but if you're hunting something that's super rare, then just try to assume it's a photon drop instead of what you're looking for to keep yourself sane. That's the majority of what I want to go over for this time, though. So remember, quests are non-random, so they'll always have the same enemy layouts, same enemy counts. Hunting is going after a particular rare drop from a particular enemy on a particular difficulty. So combine the two, and you get the most efficient hunting you can, because you can always count on those quests to have the exact enemy layout that you want, to farm that enemy as best as possible. So it's one of those things, get out there, go hunt. Good luck with the hunting, since it's always a bit of a struggle depending on what you're going for. It's one of those things, be patient, it'll happen eventually, and try not to worry too much about it. Be sure to go ahead and let me know in the comments whether or not you guys would be interested in seeing runs of particular quests that may be considered more popular ones, or even throw out a quest idea if there's one in particular you want to see. For these ones, I'll probably not do it solo. I'll probably get a couple of friends brought in that want to actually volunteer, or maybe people from the live stream. Stuff like that to kind of have a little more participation in these, especially since a lot of the quests are designed for multiple people anyways. Also, feel free to throw out ideas if there's anything in particular you want me to try and go in depth into, because there's only so many things I can talk about in these more tutorial-sized videos, so just give me a heads up if there's any topic in particular you're curious about. For now, though, that's really it for this particular topic. Hopefully this gives you a bit of an idea on what to do for hunting those things that you want yourself, and just kind of shows you the process of how you go about getting some of the nicer gear in this game, too. Either way, though, I'll go ahead and catch you guys next time. I'm not 100% certain what I'm going to talk about in the next tutorial-style video, but we'll see what happens when I get there. Catch you guys later!